Good morning all, and welcome back to the second day of empowering you all as National Productivity Awards Judge Panel members. We warmly welcome again Dr. Robin, Dr. Atif and Dr. Almas, as well as Director National Productivity Secretariat and all the participants. We kindly request you and cordially invite you to actively engage with the session again. Over to the resource team.
Okay, good morning everybody. Is everybody refreshed and ready to go? And did everybody do their homework? Sorry? Yes? I mean, this is why we have team leaders, so I hope the team leaders set the example, did their homework and made sure that everybody else did theirs. Is that what happened, team leaders? Did you all do your work? Okay. I think we're going to start off by recapping on what we did yesterday and think about what we're going to try and do today. So yesterday, remember, we actually covered quite a lot of material, introducing you to what is business excellence, its importance, the roles and responsibilities of assessors, and then going through the actual process of doing a board ridge assessment, starting off through independent review, and then touching on how you start to go through a consensus. And this is really the point of today, really, is to go through consensus after that independent review. So we're going to start that quite shortly. But before we begin today, what I'd like, if we have a spare microphone, is for my colleagues and Atif and Dr. Atif and Dr. Almas to go round. I want each table to share with us one learning point from yesterday. So one learning point from each table from yesterday. So, Atif, just walk around.
Yeah, so let me start with Lucky Group 14. Who's team leader here? Please.
Yes. Maybe when you talk, if you can stand up and just say one learning point from yesterday, and then we go to the next table.
Please be prepared. If you stand up, so people can see you.
What we learned yesterday on the how to analyze and write for the questions which have been asked in the what we call this manual, and about the from their views. So you have to approach, then you have to deploy, and then you have the learnings and the integration. Those parts actually how they approached to the problem or to the situation, and how they deployed their thinking and the tools and everything, and how they learn from being a learning organization or a learning department or a learning company, how and individuals and the groups, and how they learn on that learning part, and how they deployed, integrated to the whole company as a whole, not as a section, as a whole.
Okay.
So those are the things that we learned yesterday.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations. So that was learning ADLI. So this is fantastic. So that's the first gentleman shared the importance of ADLI. Next table.
So now I'm going to backbenchers actually. Backbenchers, I'm coming to you. So who is next? Okay.
Good morning all. Yeah. We studied fishbone theory, how we apply for the get better results through key factors, how we select the key factors, and from that how we end up with the correct results. So we, as a team, we study and will about that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Round of applause.
From here? Okay, from here, who will volunteer? maybe you? So what was your greatest learning from yesterday?
Yesterday we learned about what is business excellence and the key, how to identify key factors, what are key factors, and also about there was a comparison between NPS award and also Baldrige award, and how to identify or what are the features of a good assessor and a bad assessor. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Well done.
Fantastic. Okay, from here, maybe this group? Who's the team leader? Okay. What was your greatest learning?
I'm Nuragi. Yesterday we did what is the business excellence and the key factors of the business excellence. That we had that nice teamwork with council example. How they have aligned the business excellence Malcolm Baldrige criteria with that their development. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. We discussed about yesterday about the Dubai Government Excellence Award and comparison between that productivity awards and the Malcolm Baldrige one. And also we did yesterday 10 sessions and also the roles and responsibility of the team leaders. And thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we are going to group number 10. So, team leader, tell us what did you learn?
Good morning, everybody. Yes. We learned about the Business Excellence Award. Earlier also we had some ideas, but we get a very good overall knowledge. And the second one is the difference between audit and the assess. Actually, even as we are experienced people, sometimes we didn't have a clear idea. We use these two words, but if somebody asks what is the difference, but we have some kind of idea, but it was clearly given. What is the audit, what is the assessment. Then other thing, the assessor responsibility. Although I think, although we are getting the responsibility, not the experience, sometimes we may do some mistakes. Because thing is without having our overall knowledge and clearly explanation by you, then we got a very clear idea. That means especially things what to do, things what not to do.
Yes.
That's why. This is sometimes even whatever the experienced assessor may do, I am not telling it happens by everybody, but a small mistake is happening. Because I think I can remember assessor, like even as a practice, some people as assessor, when you go there, sometimes we feel just because of the experience, we may say, this is not correct, this is the way you would have done like, but it is not to be done. As I said, we are not going to do a lecture or teaching them, right? That's very good. Other thing, the roles and responsibilities of the team leader. It's also clearly given sometimes. If you go there, sometimes we have various different ideas, views, opinion. We may not criticize. Some people may not agree. But this is a teamwork. As a team leader, that's responsibility. He must have very good coordination, communication with the other members of the team. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you. And also, it's the team leader's role to keep everybody engaged. So when we are coming at individual tables, we are observing that only some people are participating. So please ensure, team leaders, that every team member participates and engages in the activity, because it will be beneficial for you when you do your assessments. So please pay attention to that. And
so now we are on table number 11, and my favorite team leader will tell us about their learning as a team.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everybody.
Now, we had a very, productive training yesterday, and there were all these three speakers, thank to them. And first of all, we got some idea about business excellence, the detail what is business excellence. Then we learned about the Malcolm Baldrige model. And after that, we discussed about NPA, the National Productivity Award model, and a little bit of comparison with these two, and then say the responsibilities and the role of assessors in detail discussed. And I can remember after that we were using that Port of Collins application, and then we were going through a good exercise using the fishbone and how to get the key factors there. And so it was very helpful. And then the ADLI method and all that. So it is all in all, it's a very productive day we had. And thank you all.
Okay, thank you all. I think we're going to leave that for the sharing for right now. So thank you to Dr. Atif and Dr. Almus and all the contributors there for sharing your learning from yesterday. There's going to be a lot more learning today. So we need to kick on and get started. It's going to be another jam-packed programme. So the main focus of today really is consensus meetings and getting alignment in terms of how you're assessing the applicant, both in terms of their processes, which we'll be doing this morning, and then looking at how we assess the results this afternoon, and again, reach consensus. And the last thing that we're going to be touching on today is really the site visits themselves, on how to manage those and to undertake them professionally and objectively. So let's have a talk again about consensus meetings, because we're going to want you to do an exercise on this very shortly. We've already discussed this a little bit yesterday, but I think it's worthwhile coming back to this topic and going in a little bit more detail. And this will also serve as a reminder as well of the expectations we have of you as each team in terms of how you manage that consensus activity. So the consensus review process helps to align the assessment team, refine the feedback, and set the stage for the site visit. So your purpose as a team enters a consensus review is prepare a draft, feedback-ready strength and opportunity for improvement comments for each item that you're assessing. So there's got to be agreement between your team members of what those strengths should be and what those opportunities for improvement should be. And hopefully the majority of you did your work last night and have done an individual review and have already developed some strengths and opportunities for improvement for category 3 for the Fort Collins case study. So shortly you'll be coming together to discuss those and refine them, and so you have a consensus viewpoint. Normally what happens when you're doing a review of an applicant is that you would assign individuals in your team to be the leader for a particular category. So you've obviously got, for the Baldrige model, you've got 7 categories. So generally you would recommend that there's a person in your team who's a leader for each category, who's expected to look in more detail than the other members of the team for that specific category. And so, for instance, we're looking at category 3 today for the Fort Collins. Normally that would be assigned for one person to look at that category in detail. The other ones would also look at it, but the one person would have spent more time on that than anybody else, and would also be responsible for bringing together all the comments from the other members of the team and consolidating them into one document ready for discussion, ready for consensus. We realise we've not done that through this process, but I'm just letting you know how that would normally work, that one person in your team would normally be responsible for that category and bring together all the comments from your colleagues ready for a consensus decision and discussion. So it's very important that the comments of all your team are captured, because people are going to have different understandings of the applicant's strengths and opportunities for improvements. And so all the points of view should be heard, and all the comments, written comments, should be captured together first and foremost in one document. You need to use your best judgment of how to consolidate the comments. Some comments will be very similar from your respective colleagues, and some will be quite different. So you need to probably consolidate those comments which are very similar together and write them in an appropriate manner with good English, and so that they're easy to understand. And for those ones which are different, maybe you put them aside so you can have a discussion on them at the consensus review meeting to find out the reasoning why there are some different comments from some people in comparison to others. There might be strong justification for those outlier comments, so that the reasoning behind those comments needs to be heard. So certainly the last comment on this slide here is say, avoid deleting anything. Don't delete anybody's comments without having a discussion of why that person put forward that comment. Everybody should have a voice inside your team. So what you need to do is to co-locate all the material, to arrange everything together in the same file. So if you've got different people in your team, all of them would have written comments, so you need to compile them generally in a file so they're all in one place. You would then consolidate all of those to combine similar individual comments into one unified comment. And then you would then reach consensus. And as I've already outlined, where you can't consolidate because there's a different comment to everybody else's, which is an outlier comment, you still need to include it for discussion. But where you can consolidate, you will consolidate. So this is an actual example here of after the consolidation process, how many of the comments look before the discussion amongst the various team members. So you've got a table here. It shows which comments relate to which criteria. It's got the initials of the people who put forward those comments. It shows a specific criteria which was being addressed, like 1.1A1. And then it actually contains here a sort of a consolidated comment from those three people who supported that particular strength. And so through this mechanism, you can bring together the comments of the different individuals, and normally it's a category leader's responsibility, I say, to consolidate them into a sentence which can be understood, but taking nothing away from the individual the differences that various team members may have. Some of the comments might just say at this point in time just have one initial, not in this case here shown in this example, but some of the comments might have just one initial, but to say that would be then open for discussion in the consensus review, whether that is appropriate or not based on the evidence that's been given to you. You may wish to also distinguish, as I say, between very strong strengths and strengths which are not quite as strong, or very strong opportunities for improvements, and those opportunities for improvements which you think are very minor. So I think in Atif's slides yesterday, he showed that you can actually put plus for a very strong strength and just 1+ for a lower level strength. Likewise, you can use 2 minus signs for a very negative or very important opportunity for improvement, and just 1 minus sign for a less important opportunity for improvement. That can be very useful to do when you work through this consolidation process, because ultimately this is helping you to write a feedback report, and you only want to include in that feedback value-adding comments which will help the applicant organisation to ultimately improve its performance. So we're basically saying you need a process around this, how you reach consensus, how you consolidate the comments, and also ideally a system to be able to prioritise which are the strongest strengths, which are the strongest opportunities for improvement, and the weakest. So that you might drop out the weakest when you write the final feedback report. So you have the two examples here on the slide, which you can look at. So remember, as presented yesterday, consensus meetings should be an enriching experience for all. Not only are you providing good advice to the applicants, but this is an opportunity for assessors to learn from each other. This is an opportunity for personal development. So this is why everybody should be given a voice, even the most junior people here today, and it's their first time assessing an organisation. You should be coming forward, expressing your views, but then you should also be listening to the more experienced assessors. So it's an opportunity for learning from them. The experienced assessors can provide a lot of guidance to the new assessors. So this is an opportunity for personal development for all of you. So foster a respectful, inclusive environment where all voices are heard. Stay focused on what the organisation's key factors are. You want to make sure your consensus opinions are relevant to the particular applicant. You use data and evidence to guide decisions, not just opinions. So again, I think Atif touched on this yesterday. If you're assessing a well-known applicant organisation, you should really be disregarding your personal interactions with that organisation. You should be just going on the objective evidence that's in the written submission by the applicant and the information that you find out from the site visit, not your personal experience of perhaps being a customer for a large corporation in the past. So everything should be based on objective data and objective evidence, rather than somebody saying, if you're assessing the police force, saying, well, I had a personal experience with the police force and this was not a very good experience. You take that away from the assessment. So be open to revisiting decisions as new information emerges, because this is your first attempt as well, if you're going to have your consensus meeting now, in terms of writing the feedback that's going to be given to the applicant, but some of that is likely to change based on what you find out at the site visit. So be open to change what you write at this point in time of the assessment. So with that said, we'll need to give you a little bit more time to finish off your individual reviews if you've not completed them. But you need to complete your individual reviews, and then you'll move on to the consensus exercise. So in terms of the time management around this is the role and responsibility of the team leader. If the team leader feels that team members still need a bit more time to complete their individual reviews, then allocate some time to do that. If everybody has already completed their individual reviews, then you move straight on to the consensus meeting. So with this exercise, you'd be collating all the team's strengths together. You'll be collating all the team's opportunities for improvement together. You may allocate those tasks to different people inside your team. So you might share through email all your strengths, and might share through email all your opportunities for improvement. And then you might allocate one person in your team to bring together all the strengths and consolidate them, and one person in your team to bring together all the opportunities for improvement and consolidate them. So please think about how you can utilise your time effectively. Once they've been consolidated, and nothing should be deleted, once they've been consolidated, you can then have a consensus discussion around those strengths and opportunities for improvement and refine them further. Once you're all happy with the strengths and opportunities for improvements, you can then score the applicant based on those strengths and opportunities for improvement. So assign a score from 0 to 100%, and scores can be up to the nearest 5% level. And we recommend you follow the approach deployment, learning and integration approach, the ADLI approach. Just one comment on the scoring. Whilst you've been advised to use the approach deployment, learning and integration approach, which is very sensible, you will see that in the scoring range, to be scoring above 50%, there needs to be some demonstration really of learning and then integration once you start reaching at the higher levels of maturity. So the approach deployment, learning, integration approach provides guidance really with you on the scoring range. And Dr. Atif was also talking about whether the applicant has just met the basic criteria of the question or can address the multiple criteria at the most detailed level. So again, if you're scoring more than 50% upwards, you must be thinking that the organisation is scoring at the multiple level and at a minimum the overall level. So again, we did provide guidance on that, but just a simple mechanism which you can use. You can't score an applicant at a higher range unless they meet all the conditions of that range. So within each of these ranges, when you look at the table, they must, if you're going to score them in that range, they must meet all the conditions in that range. Otherwise, they should be in a lower range. Okay? So that's a simple approach which you can apply. Let's go back to the exercise here. So you will then score the item, as I've said, and after that we'll be asking you to provide a short rationale of how you came to that score. So we want you to fill in a PowerPoint slide where you consolidate all the strengths and opportunities for improvement for item 3.1 and 3.2, and write your consensus score in the top right-hand corner. I've also added an additional question here which you've not got on the slides which we sent out to you. I would also like you to write, if you can, underneath the score, what was the range of scoring before consensus amongst your team members. So it would just be interesting from our point of view to know the range of score before consensus of your various team members, and then see what was the final score of your team for each item. So you'll do that for 3.1 and 3.2, and after you've been through that process, we'd ask you just to summarise really your rationale for your scores for both items, and also share with us what went well with the consensus approach and what you found difficult, so we can try to address that through the rest of the training. So let's have a look at what time it is now. What time is it now? It's about 9:30. So let's have a look at the agenda. So this will be quite a long exercise. I think we'll try and stick to the timeline that we have on the agenda. We can move it if necessary. But we'll have an aspirational goal for you to be ready to give a presentation, I would say maybe around 11 o'clock, 10:50, 11 o'clock, on how on your consensus opinion. So let's aim for 11 o'clock. And within that time frame, you can have your morning break as you see fit and integrate that into your consensus meeting. So by 11 o'clock, we'd like you to come back and be ready to share your consensus decisions. Good luck. And we'll come round and help you as much as we can. Thank you.
So the most important thing, thank you, Robin. I think most important thing is that when you're doing scoring, because scoring is the one that will bring objectivity in the. So whatever you learned yesterday, apply that learning that Dr. Robin just mentioned, and we are here. Ask questions at individual level before you go into the group. Do you understand it? Ask questions so that we can help you out how to put the scoring, because that will actually you are going to apply in your real world. Okay, so we are around. Just ask questions after your reading. Thank you.
So what you need to do for 3.1 is just identify a number of strengths the applicant has and a number of opportunities the applicant has. Some of you have done your homework and some of you have not. But that should not be an issue. You should be able to agree as a team what are the strengths. Agree as a team what are the opportunities for improvements. And if you haven't all done your homework and scored them all independently, you can score them as a group. So you look at all the strengths you have for that particular item, 3.1. You look at all the opportunities that you've written for 3.1, and then together you could score and figure out what the score range should be. Because we just want to make sure you understand the general process. The other thing is, you've got to provide these strengths and opportunities for improvement, so you can have one person in your team pulling together all the strengths, making sure that they're written coherently, another member of your team writing the opportunities for improvement and making sure they're all coherent, and then just getting consensus for the rest of the team that these strengths are relevant and the opportunities for improvement are relevant, and then, as I said, go to the scoring. So you've just got to do that for 3.1 and 3.2. You only score 3.1 after you've written all the strengths and all the opportunities for improvements, and then you score 3.1. And the same for 3.2. You write all the strengths, all the opportunities for improvements, then score 3.2. So one score for 3.1, one score for 3.2. Thank you. I'd asking what is your rationale for your score and what worked well amongst your team as well. So you could answer those questions too while we wait for the other groups. Aha, so this is team 8. Okay, team 8 seem to have done their work correctly. I'm just having a look at it. And team 8 have answered these questions as well. So some of the teams have not answered these questions. So please, if you wait for those teams which did not fill in these questions, if they could do that, that'd be great. Let's have a look at, now look at group 13. Wow. I've got to download a zip file. Why do I want to download a zip file? I don't really want to do this.
Yeah.
This is a bit confusing, this one.
Can we call somebody from there, from 13?
Yeah, 13, if you can just send us the PowerPoint slides on their own, please. Okay, which group is this one?
Group 13.
Group 13, can you please?
Okay, so group 3, let's have a look at what you've done. Sorry, my computer's acting a bit slow here. So for group 3, I think this is, you can write your score here. You don't write scores for... Okay, the scores are here, I think, for... I think group 3 probably might have misunderstood this. Maybe you can go to group... Do you want to find group 3? So everybody just carry on working, and once we get all these in, we will... And they're all being done correctly, we can continue. Okay, that's correct. Which group is this? I'm not sure which group this is, but it was Tusari Pafaraj. So you looked as though you completed that correctly, but there was additional question asking about the rationale for your scoring and what went well or did not go well in your consensus meeting. So that could be completed if you don't mind. So we'll give this another 5 minutes to clarify your slides. You can resubmit them again if I've just identified some opportunities for you to answer all the questions that I'd asked. And then we'll start in 5 minutes. Group 10 are very happy people. Okay, very good work from Group 10. But again, there were those additional questions we'd asked you to respond to, which were the rationale for your scoring and also what went well and what did not go well in your consensus meeting. Okay, so Team 11, I think they've scored one item, which is 3.1, I believe, and they've scored that. So again, if you had time, you could submit the next item. Okay, I think we're ready to start in a couple of minutes.
So we are starting now. I should have recorded which ones were good and which ones were bad. Yeah, but one of the initial ones was very good. I can't remember which was.
Today's first group.
It wasn't the first one, I don't think. Maybe that's...
I think that's one. Yeah,
okay.
Which group is that?
Yeah, group 5.
Yeah.
Okay, we are inviting group 5 now. Table 5. Table 5. Where are you hiding? Table 5. Yeah, please come.
Good morning, all of you. We are Group 5. We refer the listening to the current customers. It means the customer focus, voice of the customer. We found 3 strengths. One is strong multi-channel engagement with the customers. The company has the strong multi-channel engagement with the customers. Such as survey, community participation, events, social media, web platforms, direct business meetings likewise. And the second one is proactive collaborations with the stakeholders. It means the partnership with organization like the Champa of Camera and likewise some other companies, they have some partnership and they can find in the future what kind of problems arise and we can find the solutions. The third one is data-driven decision making. Because the city collects and analyzes the customer inputs like service, sales, text data, business challenges, and the development target actions plans to address issues and solving the problems. So these are some strengths in the voice of the customer. The first one is listening to the current customer. The opportunities for improvement. We can say the enhanced digital accessibility and inclusivity. So details are there, we can see. The second one is strengthened follow-up communication. The third one is streamline and integrate feedback systems the company can do. This is our suggestion. And the other one, it means the 3.1.
3.2.
No, 3.1. Satisfaction, sorry. 3.2. Product offering. So we found another 3 strengths. Customer-centered approach. The second one, systematic and continuous improvement is there. And third one is involving service delivery. The opportunities for improvement is they can broaden the accessibility and awareness to the customers. The second one is they can expand the measurement of impact basis. The third one is they can diversity service channels. So simply we mentioned here, and I think you got the point. Thank you. And we provide the score also. Yes. We consider the criteria, how can we provide the scores, and we discuss whether their services match with the scores, and we put the score. For the last one is 80%, and the other one is 75%. So this is our consensus marks, I think.
In your team, was there much range of the scores, or was there much discussion around the scores? Did everybody agree with the scores? Could you explain that process, please?
The strengths and opportunities, improvements, points we discussed. When we discuss the points, our group members have some different ideas. Mm-hmm. It means if I told one idea, somebody's agreed with that, and somebody still another improvement idea. So we collaboratively discussed and got the point.
Okay. How do you think they've done? Is it good? I think you've done tremendously well in terms of the short time available. I think the strengths and opportunities for improvements, they're actually quite aligned to what the evaluators wrote in their actual submissions to the applicant. And I think the scoring range as well is roughly around what they would score with the Baldridge assessment. This is actually an award-winning organisation. Maybe the scores are slightly high, but not overly, not too much. So very well done indeed. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, we're just going to go to the I mean, the exercise here is just for you to understand really how to assess an organisation. It's in terms of the accuracy of the scoring, to be honest, at this stage, it's not that important. It's just more important that you understand the process. So let me have a look at another one. Whiskers sounds good, Group 14, but let me have a look before I invite you. Okay, can we invite Group 14 to the front, please? Group 14.
Good morning. We scored 30 marks out of the 40 that was assigned. And for A1, actually, we found certain strength plus on the 3.8.1. And for the 3.82, we found only plus. And the B1, the listening methods, of course, we found a lot of things are there. But unfortunately, we actually gave a plus mark there, but it was not printed there. Sorry. The opportunities is that the customer dissatisfaction wise, though they have methods to analyze the satisfaction, and they have done at the council meeting the dissatisfaction, but it is not properly actually integrated into the organization, into the council itself, so that this is actually, it has to be not plus, it has to be minus. So I'm very sorry that, a scribe had made a mistake. I'm very sorry about it. So then the other one is data evaluation wise, there are some certain questions that we noted, and we found that certain evaluation wise, the dissatisfaction and the satisfaction, they are not very conversant with the, they collect data. The evaluation part, of course, there's some problem in it. So we suspected that there are a lot of areas to be improved or opportunities for improvement. So that is why we gave negative mark on that. So 3.2 that we noted, we gave 30 out of 45 marks, and the systematic approach to their information collection and about the customer relationship. But it's not 100% 100% according to the criteria. But anyway, they are doing more than what is required, the basic level. So we gave plus. Unfortunately, the 3.2 A2, we typed it, but unfortunately it has missed. Very sorry about that one. So the opportunities for improvement also, there should be a minus mark. So customer segmentation is, they have done the segmentation part, but only thing is that, the segmentation is done according to the certain criteria they have selected, but we thought that they can do a lot of things on the segmentation part. And their approach to the identification of customer groups, also we noted that they can improve a lot. So unfortunately, our scribe has put a plus mark, it has to be a negative mark. So we actually as a group, we had from 70, 65, 70 and 75 we have all given marks. But after the consensus, we noted we agreed on the 30 from the earlier one and the second one also the 30 out of 45. So it came to about 65% of the marks. That part. Overall 65%, and we all agreed for 65%.
Okay, thank you so much for the sharing. I mean, I think again the strengths and opportunities for improvement are written extremely well and relevant. I think what you have to bear in mind, which will happen in reality, is that if you're scoring an organisation quite low, then there will need to be maybe 3 or 4 opportunities for improvement. If you're scoring an organisation quite high, there would need to be more strengths than opportunities for improvement. So there's always a balance between the number of comments you have. And in reality, you'd need more than 1 comment per strength or 1 comment per opportunity for improvement. But I realise there's a time constriction here, so I think the job you've done is excellent. Very well done indeed. Thank you. Okay, we'll have a look at one last group. There's not as many in-depth sort of comments here, but it'll still be good to have a look and get the opinions of group 15. So group 15, can you come to the front, please? Group 15. Don't be shy, group 15. Okay, you're right.
Hi everyone, good morning. We are from group 15. We have identified several areas. The organization has a systematic approach which we have identified. They have the survey feedback channels and stakeholder meetings. In fact, our group has done a very good job yesterday evening, I believe. So, while discussion, there are so many outcomes come from us. The second is deployment of customer feedbacks collection is evident across multiple departments, ensuring wide coverage. And evidence for learning through periodic updates to feedback tools, example, shorter surveys to improve participation. So likewise, the category 3.1, and we have identified some opportunities for improvements, limited use of benchmarking to compare customer satisfaction with industry leaders. Second is deployment is uneven. Some services units consistently collect feedback which others lag behind. Integration, the last one is an outlier wherein only one of our team member has identified this. Integration of customer expectation data into strategic planning is limited, not fully aligned with the long-term goals. So these are the identification or the opportunities, improvements for the company or the organization we can give. So for 3.1, we have gone for 60% of the mark out of 100. So we didn't go for 40%. Out of 40%, we have put the score for 100%. It's 60. And second, if we talk about 3.2, we have identified organization maintain multiple channels, hotlines, online, in-person for customer relationship management. Deployment across all customer service locations shows consistency and improvements made recently, such as, when we are going through the improvements what they have made, we have found that in the latter stage only the improvement has been developed. Maybe they have targeted certain, evaluation. So that's why in the latter stage it has been, focused on.
And opportunities, we have identified the opportunities for this organization is engagement measures are mostly active-based. A few are outcome-based matrix, and data segmentation is weak. No demographic, like say, if you say that region-wise it is not done, or it is, maybe it might be, I mean, we have identified, even though we have identified, it might be a reason that the organization might be, working in a particular area, not for, I mean, demographic or anything. So these are our findings. And how we have come to a conclusion for this, the organization has a systematic approach, wherein I think with the time limitation, we will not be able to go in depth on this. But the organization has a systematic approach, so that's what they have used feedbacks, channels, and stakeholder meetings and approach, so on. So those are the areas where we have find out. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, again, very well done indeed. What I'll share with you in a second is the sort of feedback that the real evaluators gave to the applicants. But again, like the other groups, you've identified the general strengths correctly, the general opportunity for improvement correctly. I would make some small changes to it. But again, the scoring prior to a site visit, is okay. But again, you've got to validate that once you go to the site visit, and your score can change sometimes quite considerably once you do a site visit. So I wish to thank you all. Very well done indeed.
In fact, we have some issues with, scoring, which we didn't put much effort on that. Yes. But of course, it depends on the person to person. Say if it is from 55 to 75 or something, we have a range. So yes. End of the day, the accumulation will give a variation.
Yeah, and you can't score at even higher level unless you've got full evidence for that. And I think at the time before a site visit, you were obviously a bit reticent about scoring them more highly. So this is why I think you've done a good job. I think for the first team, they scored them extremely highly, I think 85%, which is very difficult to score an organisation at that high level before a site visit. I think you need additional evidence to be able to warrant the score at the highest level. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Actually, as some of the groups identified, you do actually have a copy of the feedback report, which was given by the real evaluators of the Fort Collins application. So in every table, you do have a copy of the feedback report, so you can read the real feedback given by the evaluators. And I'll just share that now as well on my screen. So if I go to the Baldridge feedback report, so we didn't mind actually, some of you actually looked at this when you were giving your feedback as well. We recognise you did that. Others did not take advantage of that opportunity. So here you can actually see the real feedback given by the evaluators of the Fort Collins application. And you can see what's written at the top here. You're saying your score in this criteria item for voice of the customer was originally for the consensus review in the 50 to 65% range. So these are the real evaluators who read the written submission, much the same as you. They scored the organisation at 50 to 65%. But after the site visit, they increased the percentage range based on receiving more evidence to 70 to 85%. And in fact, Fort City Collins, was a Baldridge winner for that year in 2017 to 2018. You can also see how they've written their strengths with more detail than you provided. I realise you've had limited time, but obviously, if you have more time, you should justify the specific strengths that you're giving them and justify why an opportunity for improvement is an opportunity for improvement. And using the understanding of the ADLI approach, therefore making comments on whether or not their approach is rigorous or whether the deployment has some opportunities for improvements, or likewise with the learning and the integration. So you can see here, we're not going to go through this one by one, but you can see when they write these strengths, there's justification for those strengths, describing why they believe their particular approach is at a high level, why it's been deployed effectively, why they perceive there to be some learning and integration. So again, that's very important when you write these comments, you do think of them from those four perspectives. And likewise, for the opportunity for improvement, again, they're justifying those opportunities for improvement. And you see that these opportunity for improvements and strengths are very similar to what's being presented by the various teams. So I think most of the teams who gave feedback were saying there was an issue in terms of whether or not the city of Fort Collins was measuring customer dissatisfaction or analysing that data sufficiently to provide opportunities to further improve its services. So I think that was identified by all the teams here. And for the real evaluators, they thought this was such a big issue. They wrote, a couple of comments with respect to this and showing how that if they address those particular areas, they could improve their performance even further in the future. With respect to what's in these feedback reports, let's say it's a real feedback report from the evaluators, but the ones that they share publicly, sometimes they remove some of the strengths and they remove some of the opportunities for improvement because they think they're of a confidential nature. So in reality, for the real feedback report, there might have been more strengths and there might have been more opportunities for improvement that are shown here. But if you can, I suggest you should read these and learn from them in how to write a good strength and opportunity for improvement. Do you have any comment, Dr. Atif?
So idea was to give you the real life experience of how you actually read the application, find out strength and opportunities for improvement, and then score. So you can see that how this process went and how this process has removed the subjectivity in the comments and the scoring. And that's the whole objective of this exercise. So as Dr. Robin just said, that you have this feedback report, read it twice, thrice, and you understand the language, how they put their comments together so that they can actually help organization to improve where improvement is required, and where the strength, how they are putting the strength with evidence, and we discussed yesterday how to put those comments together. So I think the most important part is that how you actually read the application, how you follow the criteria, and then how you make comment that actually help organization at the end. Yeah. Over to you, Dr. Robin.
I think it's actually back to you, Dr. Atif. You're going to go through session 12 now.
This slide where we were discussing the steps. Just to give them where we are.
Well, that's right at the front then. So this is 151. You want to go all the way back? Be right at the very start. Yeah. These are all the steps.
Yeah, 11 steps.
Which one do you want to go through here?
Just 2 slides. So yeah.
Okay.
Just give them.
Okay.
Yeah. So now, before I start and go to section 7, it's important that we just connect where we started. So if you remember this independent review slide that we shared with you, so you start with reading your understand the assessment criteria. Now you know what you did. So you read the assessment criteria. You read the application form. In this case, we read the section item 3. You review the organizational profile. You did that before that. Identified key factors, key themes, strength and opportunities for improvement that you just did. And then you assess and score, and you review this, your comments together. And now you're very much there where we actually go for the next level of this, which called site visits. So you see that you started with independent review. So you all did that exercise. You had consensus meeting, which is site visit. In this section that we are discussing now, we are now going to tell you that how the successful or effective site visit look like. Once you are done, then we'll move forward to next level. Any question around that? Yeah. Sorry if I missed that point, yeah. Just a minute, please. So we all now know how to assess process categories now, categories from 1 to 6. In this section, we are going to discuss that how we are going to identify the result section, which is category 7. So again, you remember this grid now by now. You need to, before you go into there, you need to read everything, scoring system criteria. And again, you remember the basic overall and multiple approach that we discussed in process category. So it's not new to you. So when you read the criteria, for example, in this section, you say that we are doing 7.2. So 7.2 again, start with basic. So what is the basic question that I have, which shows that result shows limited measures with early stages of tracking and some gaps in segmentation. So these are the basic sort of thing. But as I said earlier in process category discussion, that as you move down, you see that overall approach, if results address most of the key measures that you identified in terms of organization profile when you were reading that, and you see that most of the key measures are there, but segmentation and integration are still incomplete. As an assessor, you find out that. So that means that the approach is overall. So results are overall described. And multiple means that results are comprehensive, demonstrate sustained positive performance and favorable comparison. And shows that alignment with organization priorities. Yeah. So for approach categories, for process categories, we followed ADLI, you remember now. The approach, deployment, learning, and integration. Similarly, when you assess or you review category 7, result categories, we follow Let's See approach. So Let's See says level, trends, comparison, and integration to determine the performance outcome achieved by the organization. So again, process done, now we are seeing the results and we are following Let's See approach. So results, what are the results? Results refers to output and outcome achieved by an organization in addressing the question category 7. So now you follow you understand the criteria somehow. So if you go to criteria section C, you will see, category 7 in your criteria document, you will find out there's some question that actually ask organization to respond to result categories. So for that, the model or the approach is, Let's See, which says the performance level. Performance level means that organization's current level of performance, where they are. Then comparison, how they are actually comparing their performance with their competitors or industry benchmarks or the other comparisons. Trend shows that are they giving you enough data points where you can see the performance, trend for some year. And here we see that at least 3 data points should be there in the trends. And integration refers to which extent the results basically incorporated somewhere in the overall strategy of the organization. Yeah.
Can we just go back? I mean, this approach, similar to ADLI can be applied. You should be thinking of ADLI when you're looking at all your processes and systems inside your organisation. So irrespective of whether you're doing an assessment or not, you should be looking internally inside your own organisation's processes to see whether you have a clear approach of how you implement a process, whether it's been deployed appropriately, whether you're learning from it, and whether it's integrated within your overall system. So what we're sharing with you over these 2 days is what you should be doing as an organisation, to basically become an excellent organisation. You should have an ADLI process already inside your organisation for all your processes, irrespective of whether you use this approach to assess other organisations. The same in terms of this for assessing results. You should be making sure if you are sharing results inside your organisation that you are measuring their performance, so therefore you will have a performance level. But you should also be comparing your performance against other organisations if you aspire for excellence. You should also be able to show historical data and where you stand now, so you can show that you are improving performance over time. And again, you should be showing the relevance of those performance of the performance data in how it's helping you to achieve your vision or mission or goals. So all what we're sharing here is what you should be doing anyway as an organisation. So you can use this approach to assess your own performance measures inside your own organisation, as well as assessing other organisations. And so when you do your National Productivity Award assessment, and you do go visit other organisations, you should be looking for these various aspects, whether they're there or not, when you are assessing other organisations. So even though you're not going to do a formal Baldrige assessment as part of the Sri Lanka's National Productivity Award, you should be using what we're sharing with you as a method to help you to do the assessment, to make sure that you are regularly assessing those applicants and providing the best advice to those applicants. Therefore, providing advice if they're not using comparisons, provide advice if they're not showing historical data and trend data, and providing advice if you think the measure is not relevant to what they're striving to achieve. Lots of organisations, particularly in the public sector, they measure a lot, but it's not necessarily relevant to their specific goals and objectives. So you need to always be thinking, is this relevant to their goals and objectives, or are they just collecting data for the sake of it? And sometimes they collect data and they don't have anybody analysing that data. So why are you collecting information unless it's analysed and used to make decisions? So all of this we're trying to share with you will help you with those assessments.
Thanks, Dr. Robin. Yeah, so now we are going to discuss each and every component of results category dimension. So let's start with level. So, and this is very, very important because this is exactly what you want to see organization, because now you read through the entire submission, you read through the profile, and you have something in your mind by now that, what you want to see in results in that specific organization, so that they can say what is important for them and what is you see in the result at the end. So for example, performance level, which is the LE of let's see, refers to the numerical information that places the position and organization result, that performance, on a meaningful scale. And definitely next slides I will show you how this works. So when you're reviewing results category, results submission, results section, you see that what levels are provided, where they are. Is the meaningful scale, is the measurable scale is meaningful? Are key results missing, for example? And 3 historical data provided so that you can see the, what is happening on year-on-year basis, for example, or quarter-to-quarter basis, whatever they're providing. For example, if you see in the organizational profile, I'm just giving you example, that customer satisfaction is very, very important for us. Somewhere you see that organization is focusing on customer. So when you come here in the results section, you want to see that how their customer satisfaction survey results are there or not, for example. So you will see that what are the current level of their customer satisfaction surveys, for example. Did they provide you right scale or measure that you can see some meaningful output? And if you see that, yes, they're saying something in their mission or vision statements, but you don't see that connection here in the results, so that is missing, and that bring like opportunities for improvement or OFI here. Similarly, when you see the trends, for example, this is the T of let's see, trend. Trend refer to the rate of performance, that how they're performing. Is improving or sustaining, or what is happening? So that you will see the slope, and I will share some examples with you. So you will see that our trends are positive or not. What is the rate of change? Positive, negative, whatever. Do the trends demonstrate little, some, or much, improvement efforts? Is there any significant variation? So trends are important to see the performance is consistent or not, and which direction they are heading to. It is important for us as an assessor. It's important for them as well, because if organization is running, they should see how they are moving forward. Like the same example that I gave you around customer satisfaction survey, for example. What you will see that year on year, the trend is positive or not. If trend is not positive, for example, 1 year they did well, and the second year the satisfaction index has dropped. So it means that something is not working for them. So that's why the trend is important to see that whatever improvement initiative they put in place, or whatever measure they have in place to achieve whatever they want, is actually working well or not. So you as an assessor, you ask for trend, that what is happening and what is not happening there. Then comparison. Comparison is again very important. And comparison shows that how the organization results measure up against relevant external references, such as competitors, benchmark, or best practices. In that, we see that results excluding external benchmark or not. Are comparison made to appropriate organizations? Do comparison add context to performance level? Is the performance able to show relative strength or gap? Let me give you an example. So one bank is doing so good. Their customer satisfaction level is 85%. So if you see as an organization, you are clapping, you are very happy, and when the next day CEO comes and they show you that your competitor is at 95%. So once you have that comparison, you see that we are not doing that great. So if you don't have that comparison with the industry benchmarks or top performers of your industry or some other competitors, you can't compare your performance if you're you're improving or not. So it's always important. In this case, that example I just gave you, if you just remove the comparison part, the organization would be very happy. Their 85% looks good on the face of it. But when you compare, you see that it's not that great, to be honest, because some other organizations are doing better than your performance. So it means there's improvement, opportunities to improve. Yeah. Similarly, let me show you some example. And now I will ask questions. So can I pick table of my choice? Yes or no? Yes? Okay, table 15. What is wrong with this graph? So this is example of low scoring results. What is missing here? If you have any answer, just give me. Yes. No comparison. Yes. What else? No trend. You don't know. It's only 2022, for example. So if you see something like this, you can't see what is happening. We don't know. So this is example of low performing result organization. What is missing here? They are actually comparing. They have overall satisfaction, government, commercial, they have everything. What is missing there? Table number, where is my other favorite table? Table 10, where is table 10? Okay, let me ask. Table 15, what is missing there? Previous years, again, there is no trend. They are comparing, but for the 1 year only. You see, 2024.
I mean, just to explain that graph, it does show that it's difficult to understand with the colours. But I think the bar on the left-hand side is the overall satisfaction of their customers.
So this is overall, yeah.
And then they've segmented the overall customer satisfaction by the different consumers or customers they serve. So they're serving the government, they're serving commercial industry, advanced technology and industrial. So it shows the customer satisfaction rates for all their different segments of customers plus their overall satisfaction. So it's great they've segmented the data, but as we've just heard, they're not showing historical trends.
So you see the point. If you see this, you will see, wow, we are doing great in terms of all whatever averages they are. But for 1 year. So if you want to see their consistent performance, you will ask for more data, more years, so that you can compare how they are doing it. So this is again, when you go and you read results, follow this. 1 year is not enough. We need more data, more information, and I think that will help. Now this is moderate scoring. So what is there? So again, explain you. This is overall example, overall satisfaction here, 2023, 2024, and they're doing good. Now you can see that they showed the trend last 3 years. They showed the industry average. They showed this. So this is much better than this one. So this organization will do in scoring better than the other organization. Now let me give you another example. Higher scoring example. So now what has improved here? They put what they want to achieve in terms of their results. So what is there? Yes, Robin.
They're also comparing against the competitors. It's difficult to see, but there's a yellow line showing how they compare against the competitors. And also they're sharing how they perform against the benchmark. So presumably they've identified one organisation which is achieving very well in customer satisfaction and showing the benchmark performance. And so it seems that for some of their customer satisfaction ratings, they're performing, well, for one area, which is industrial, they're outperforming the benchmark. They're not outperforming the benchmark for the other segments of their customers. But still, they are comparing against industry average and outperforming industry average. And they are comparing against competitors, and for some of the segments, they are outperforming their competitors. So in general, this is a high-performing organisation.
So their performance is good. So this is, you can see that they are doing better than everything. And they are showing consistent trend as well. So let me give the recent example. So this is, again, table 14. What is good with this? Table 14. Trend positive, this is one. Then the projection is here. So they are actually telling you, okay, they projected this, but they are doing better than their projections. And this little blue thing is a benchmark. So this is what they're saying from 2004 to 2018 or 2020 somewhere. They are doing better than their projections. They are doing much better than industry benchmark. So now you can see this organization is something, and they are discussing net income. So I'm not going specific what they're saying. So their income is growing, net income is growing. They're doing much better than what they projected, and they're doing much better than their industry averages. So if you see something like this, you will see, yes, this organization is doing something consistently. And you remember yesterday we were discussing about maturity. So if organization is delivering year on year, what it shows? Maturity. That processes are mature, processes are embedded properly, excellence is happening, and now that excellence trend you can see in these graphs. So if you go and read through the application, Sometimes organization will give you their best performing year. Maybe last year they did really well. They will show you, wow, they did great. But you as an assessor, you know that what Let's See says. Let's See says that let me see the trends. Let me see the comparisons. Let me see the level of performance. So this will help you to better evaluate or better assess the results categories. Another good example. So the trend is going good. This is marketplace performance. So, and you can see that they are saying that how they're doing in terms of their own performance and then the comparison of the other metrics. I think the next one is easier to understand. This is their survey of volunteer engagement survey. And they compare themselves with Baldrige recipient, the other Baldrige recipient. So you can see they're doing much better and they have, again, trend and comparison. So you can see what is happening. And one of the benefit of, again, I think we discussed yesterday as well, one organization following any Baldrige or NPS or EFKM, for example, what that information provide that you can compare, you can benchmark against each other. So for example, NPS perspective, you have results. So any organization can tell you that how we are doing compared to other NPS organizations, because I'm sure that you share data on performance on perspective. So this is another example. This is again, another good example of award winning, that how the performance is going, and they are showing that how their average look like compared to others. And you can see the performance is better, numbers are going up, and they are showing year-on-year performance compared to others. So now you know the trends, how the trends are important, comparisons are important. Now the other important part, which is integration. Integration means that you are actually measuring your performance, key performance, target that you set yourself as an organization. You are comparing everything. You know where you're going. You have everything, but how? And this is very important. This shows maturity of an organization. When we as an organization get something in terms of results, how those results are actually being used in the organization to improve. So it is very important that how results are aligned with the organization's key factors. For example, I gave you one of the examples, like customers' happiness is very important. So if that is important, then as an assessor, I would like to see some results around that measure. Customer happiness, for example. Employee retention, employees are assets. They are very important for us. Then I would like to see in results that they are actually seeing employee happiness or employee retention, for example. So if they are not doing that, it means there is a disconnect between what they want to achieve and what they are measuring. In English, they say that things get managed. So if someone is not measuring that key performance, they are not going to able to improve that thing. So in that category, we will see that do results include all important measures, as I said. Are results aligned with customer requirement, employee engagement drivers, and strategic challenges or advantages? Because this is what you know by now, after reading the entire application. Do results show segmentation where appropriate? Segmentation is again very, very important, because what segmentation does, it helps organization to focus on right segments. All measures mutually reinforcing across all categories. As I said, workforce, for example. Workforce is important, but are you measuring the right performance indicators in your results section for your workforce categories, for example? For customers, for operational, categories. So everything is very important, but as an assessor, what we want to see, that if they are measuring the right thing in their performance, in the results categories, and with the right approach, let's see that we just see. So look at this. So this is this is actual, application that I picked and put it here. So this is what they say. In their results category, this is what they wrote as they say results. Now they are actually explaining their result in the application form. Results demonstrate benchmark leadership level and a beneficial trend sustained over time. So they are telling you as an assessor that this is what is happening They will also show you evidence graph or something. Cost to operate is a supporting measure of the company names, improvement in productivity, efficiency, and quality, and represent the difference between gross margins and net income, for example. This measure, so this is measure, now you read this thing. This measure is a key indicator of our ability. So they are telling you what is important for them. And this is something that you will find in their, organizational profile when you read that. Ability to control variable cost and maintain higher net income. So here they're telling you as an assessor why this is important. This is important because that improves their ability to control variable cost and maintain higher net income. We project sustained benchmark comparison, benchmark leadership performance in the future due to this and our culture of continuous improvement. This graph shows additional historical data to better depict the long-term focus on improving results in this key growth-related measure. So you see that how they are selling themselves. They are convincing you that what they're saying in terms of that specific, result item that shows. You want to say something, Robin? No? Okay. So again, same. I think page number 36, something. Okay, in criteria document you will find this. I'm not going to detail. There are two items that we shared here that how to score the maturity of applicant results. One is definitely coming from Baldrige and one is coming from our core values partners to develop, by Paul. So, yes.
Just show the one by. So you got the Baldrige assessment criteria. I think it's on page 35, probably. So in the
same grid that you used in the past, yeah.
And then just the one on the other side of the screen here is showing, it's just breaking that down into levels, trends, and
comparison integration. Let's see. Yeah.
Yes. So it's just it's the same one as on the left-hand side. It's just breaking them down into those 4 areas. So for some people, it's just easier to understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. So, result section, when you're talking and discussing numbers, and this is important because this provides you facts. So when we say that best way to write results feedback comment is to report just the facts. You are not supposed to interpret those facts, what you think. It's important that just see the numbers only, you see. Under the following headlines. The best way to write stands, for example, a statement regarding important results. And we'll tell you, we'll share some examples with you. Favorable trend and comparison. Favorable trend and, in comparison, I already said. Opportunity for improvement of office, unfavorable trend. When you see that performance is going down, that is something that you need to investigate, that you need to ask, and you need to see that what is happening there. Unfavorable trend or no comparison, I talk about that. Unfavorable comparison, when industry is doing so good and you are not doing so good, so where is the problem? What is happening there? Incomplete data, something like less than 3 data points. This is very important that you won't be able to see trend if you don't have enough data points. Or missing results. So something is there, but results are not there. So that's why it's important to have that integration in the results section so that we can see how results are actually impacting that improvement culture within the organization. So, a strength example. This is too much information, but let me see how we can. So in this you can see that, one of the strengths that we found. So they're saying that workforce environment and referring figure, company name, score increased from 188 to 195 from 2018 to 2021, showing the trend, yeah? Physician burnout rate decreased from this to this, which is good. Wellness program participation rate increased from this to this. So you can see the trend. This is coming from, what do you call it? Which category is that? hospitals from Baldridge. So you can see that, so they are showing trends and everything. And you can see that feedback report this is important. Emergency responder indicate decrease from 31, whatever they reported last year. Feedback report 61 to 14, accommodation requests meet so they are showing everything very positive. On workforce side, they are saying, incident decrease, because incident means that some safety issues highlighted, they decrease from 7 to 3. Diversity report says this, and nurse, whatever. So you can see that they are actually putting all key measures and showcasing you as that, yes, there's something is happening behind the scene, which shows results, positive results. Another example is, finding is that, like this hospital reports some workplace climate results this is examiner is writing that, and diversity measure that demonstrate favorable trends and performance level, whatever. So you can see that.
I think that the previous slide was just showing that the evaluating team had identified the evidence, the strengths that had shown that the applicant had improved performance. And so they just listed all the evidence. And now what this is showing here is how they begin to write that in the feedback report. So the top here is showing the main finding, which is bringing together all that evidence into a comment. So it's saying CRS reports some workplace climate results for health, safety, security and diversity measures that demonstrate favourable trends in performance levels relative to competitors or the organisation's goal. So the evidence is actually all that list of examples. So as an evaluator, first of all, you need to find the evidence and then decide how you're actually going to feedback that evidence to the applicant as either a strength or an opportunity for improvement.
Yes, so like you remember this, what we said here, the best way to write result feedback comment is to report just the results. So this is very, very important that you bring numbers or evidence in your comments. And then this is opportunity for an improvement example. Like here, what you find, you missing results, anything which is not there. Results for knowledge, skills, abilities. So you actually, if numbers are not reading to strategic planning process, for example, results related to employee exhibiting new skills after training are not. So you can see that something is there, that you are actually finding, some gaps in the, or opportunities for improvement in organizations' results. And this is how you're reporting then. So you are saying that this organization does not report results for major workforce capability, satisfaction results for volunteer workforce group, or results related to differences in the workforce and leaders development by diversity-related segment of the workforce, missing results. So this is showing something, and then you can see the evidence. And then what is the potential impact of this missing results? This is very important. I think I mentioned this when I was discussing process categories as well. If your comment is not providing the impact means that you are telling through your comments that if you do this is going to improve something. So here you can see the systematic review results for workforce capability, satisfaction results for all work groups, and results related to this may help the organization to address its strategic challenges of staff burnout and staff shortage. So you see that when you, as an assessor, when we are providing feedback, we are also telling that if you do this will help you there. So this looks like a very solid, strong comment in a way that is very helpful for the organization. So build on that. Almas, we are doing good in terms of timing? Yes. Okay. So now the next exercise. I'm sure by now you are familiar with the application. So I can tell you, so you will go to the section category 7 in the application form. Fort Collins application that you have. Everyone has that one by now. So what you will do now, step one is each assessor to write the assigned category, which is section category 3. Identify and record, aim to write at least 2 strengths per item. Aim to write at least 2 opportunities for improvement. Score the item using the Baldrige process guideline that we give you. Let's see. Yeah, sorry, Robin.
It should be the results.
Yeah, results. Of course, it's only results that we are talking about. And assign a score from 0 to 100 so that we can see that what is happening. Yeah. And we will definitely come to your table and explain you further. Yes.
You go to the next slide.
Yeah.
So this is for item number 7.2. So we're looking at the results items here.
Yeah.
So again, you're just evaluating what they've written in 7.2 and the results they've achieved for 7.2. Again, this is just about getting you familiar with how to assess results. And this should not actually take as long as that previous exercise we gave you, and we can do this over lunch as well. So we want you to read, let's go back to what it says here. So each assessor to review the assigned category, which is 7.2 from the award application. You write at least 2 strengths that you see for 7.2, at least 2 opportunities for improvement for 7.2, and then you score the item. And then, like before, you then reach consensus after that. And we're going to do this from now on and go through lunch as well, and then we expect you to report back on this by approximately by 2:15.
Yeah.
Yep.
So please go to Baldrige application that you have, this one. Baldrige application form, this one. We all have that, yeah. And then you will go to page number 38. And
so that's a full city column.
yeah. So City of Fort Collins, this is the application that we are doing for this thing. So you will go to page number 38. And page 38, you will see the 7.2. So just read that, and that is the exercise that you're going to do.
7.3. Isn't it? Is it 7.2 or 7.3?
7.2, I remember.
Okay. Is that a customer's in there?
Yeah. Customer focus.
Okay. If you don't understand, please put up your hand and we'll come round. Thank you.
And Dr. Almas already shared the soft copies of this presentation so that you can edit and update after your results. PowerPoint slides, yes. Can we ask that?
Yeah, we can start presentations now. We've got quite a lot of them coming through.
Yeah.
So if group 4 are ready.
Yes, group 4 is ready. Yeah, please. Great, group 4. Everyone should go. Very good slide. Quality of presentation is improving.
Come. This here.
Team leader, I will give you this. You can use this if you want. Which one is better?
Yes, I can use this.
Okay.
Good evening, all of you.
and our valuable resource person. After the lunch, we can join a presentation. This is our group, diversity group, group 4, because the name is, we are in a multi-language. Because of the language barrier, we collect some ideas and summarized. Okay. This is our members. I'm very thankful to our members to give opportunity to perform a team leader as I am a junior. Yes. There are some strength in 7.2 we observe according to the bar charts and diagrams. The city demonstrate good to excellent performance in customer satisfaction. According to the diagram 7.2.3. At the same time, the quality of culture and recreations and quality of drinking water were constantly in the top of 10% nationally from year 2008 to 2015. This is a good outcome and the strength of this organization. According to the chart 7.2.5 and 7.2.9. The second point is strength is multiple customer focused results, so strong performance against national and regional comparison. The city ranked first for quality of water and natural areas and open space. And 15 out of 16 measures in this area are in the top 10% of comparisons. This also according to the chart 7.1 and 0.9 and 7.2 and 12. And another one is customer engagement measures show beneficial level with result for ease of traveling by bicycle, welcoming to citizens and listening to citizens, ranking in the top 1% or 10% nationally and regionally from 2010 to 2015. Yes.
May you speak?
Yes. The next one is opportunities and improvement. Very sorry for the redundancy in the same. We go to the third line. Expected results regarding the customer satisfaction are missing. Despite the city having process to collect this data, focusing on this could help address strategic challenges in future. At the same time, another opportunity for the improvement is some important measures of customer satisfaction and engagement, such as utilities customer satisfaction, so mixed performance trends. So it should be give in the future separately. It will be give the improvement opportunities we find. Thank you so much for your all. Thank you. Any comments?
No, this is good work. It almost mirrors what was in the feedback by the evaluators as well. I think hopefully what you're all noticing as well when you do this, you're trying to look across all the measures as this team has shown, and they say that 15 out of the 16 measures in the area are in the top 10% of comparisons. So it is good to look across all the charts to get a picture of how they perform across all areas. But even if they are very strong performing, as in this case, maybe they are missing some measures as they've identified in the opportunities for improvement. The other key thing to note is that even if an organisation is performing quite well at 75% or 85% satisfaction levels, then you should always be asking the question, what about if the 75% satisfied, what's happening to the 25% who are not satisfied? So a world-class organisation would not only be measuring satisfaction, they'd be investigating the reasons why 25% are dissatisfied, and you see evidence somewhere else in the report how they're approaching that. So always, if somebody's got high level of satisfaction rates, always ask, what about those who are not satisfied? Have you identified them? Do you get their feedback? Do you know the reasons why they're not satisfied? Thank you so very much. Good job indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Group 4. Now, we need another group who actually not presented as yet. So we need new faces. Who is ready? If not, then maybe Dr. Robin, you select.
Well, I think we should find out if one group has not presented before.
Yeah, this is what I ask, and no one is willing to.
Can we remember who has presented and not presented?
Group 11 presented, I know. Group 6 has not yet presented. Group 6, yes? Table number 6.
Yeah, but I don't think we've got their information here.
Okay,
so.
We don't have that.
So we've got to remember there is one more exercise after this. And so for the next exercise, Group 6 will be presenting, okay?
So we have Group 9.
Group 9.
Is complaining that no one is inviting them.
Group 9?
Yeah. So now you can go, please. Yes.
Yeah, well, yes, Group 9, please. Thank you. You can just go the down arrow here.
Good afternoon all. We are group number 9. We identified 4 strengths. First one is high citizen satisfaction scores in the annual citizen survey. And then trust and transparency ratings are strong compared to benchmark cities, showing success of open book, open data and engagement initiatives. Third one is consistency across services. Last one is utility services show high reliability and satisfaction. And opportunities to improvement, limited segmentation of customer results, some declining or flat trends, and business satisfaction measures are less detailed than residents' results. Our overall mark is 65%, and these are the rationale for our scores. Levels, many results show excellent levels, trends mostly stable or improving with some concerning exceptions, comparisons above regional and national averages, integration results tied to outcome areas and strategic planning but not fully segmented, and our consensus approaches. All members participate actively and sharing knowledge and discussions. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. Very well done. Thank you.
Great.
I think we can, in the interest of time, we can, no more sharing, Dr. Atif.
Okay, that's fine.
We only have
Next time.
about 2.5 hours left in this programme. What I just wish to share with you is an observation as well. So let me just go to the
Next one. Yeah, next. Which group are you?
results section here. And this was actually identified by one of the teams. I can't remember the number of the team. So when you look at some of these graphs like here, like Fort Collins as a place to live, you can obviously see Fort Collins performance in blue. So it's increased until 2012, 2013. Then it's a slight decrease. Then we can look at the comparison at a national level, sort of decreased and then increased. Similarly with the regional comparison, quite high, and then decrease, but then increasing. So we can see overall that Fort Collins is the highest performer, so they should be congratulated at that. And it obviously indicates that a highly mature organisation with very strong results. But we can see that at the regional and national level, their results are improving. And the Fort Collins is slightly decreasing. So whilst they've got excellent results, it is something that potentially should be explored by Fort Collins, is why their results are coming slightly down and the regional and national data is increasing, because maybe in the future, because of that, more people would want to move out of Fort Collins and move to one of the regional municipalities or move elsewhere inside that country. So I think while it's a strength, there's also an observation there that it's something for them to pay attention to. And that's also replicated as well in the quality of life, where it's been decreasing slightly in the last couple of years, and yet at the regional level and national level it has been increasing. So this is a sort of level interpretation you can provide, which could be useful information for them that they've not noticed before, that they can then address and improve in the future. So very important to analyse the graphs and try and give feedback that will be of value to them. Okay, let's go back to this main presentation. Close this down. So now we're going to move on to session 13, conducting site visits. Do you want me to do this, Dr. Latif? Okay, so there we are. So what is the purpose of the site visit? The purpose of the site visit really is to verify and clarify what is in the application. If the application represents a true reflection of reality, then when you do the site visit, you are just essentially just validating what is in that application, and your strengths and opportunities for improvement won't change that much after the site visit if what they've written in that application is a true reflection of reality. Obviously, if there's a difference between what they've written and what is happening in reality, then that would be a concern. That'd be of concern to you, and then you would need to change how you've written the strengths and how you've written the opportunities for improvement. And so, what is quite critical when you go to visit an organisation is that you do test the deployment of their various processes, because the application potentially could have been written by very senior managers inside that organisation, and they might be stating what they think is happening inside the organisation. But once you get onto the shop floor and talk to the people, the operational people inside the organisation, you might find a different reality than what's portrayed by the senior management. So this does occasionally happen. You do sometimes have more senior people writing the application report and saying what they think is happening, but in reality that's not true once you talk to lower level people inside the organisation. So a key test for a site visit is to not just speak to the senior managers when you do a site visit, is to speak to people at different layers of the organisation. Therefore, if the organisation has a vision to be very people orientated and to engage their people and value their people, if you then go and talk to people on the shop floor and they feel disengaged, they don't feel motivated, then it's obviously something amiss. And so checking deployment, it's very important to speak to all levels of the organisation. Also, in terms of deployment, you'll want to do some horizontal checking inside the organisation to check across different departments. Because sometimes in some departments there is this culture of business excellence is self-evident, but in other departments it is not self-evident. So again, you want to check vertically up and down the organisation whether approaches and processes are fully deployed, but also horizontally across departments. Also, you might have identified in your feedback report that you've written up to now, before the site visit, that some information is missing or you can't adequately assess the organisation for a particular category or criteria. So where there are information gaps, you should be focusing on them, because where there's information gaps, it might be they do have the information, they can provide you with objective evidence, but they've just missed that out of the report. In many cases, organisations are not so good at writing submission documents. Often, when you visit an organisation, you find additional evidence that was not in the submission document. And therefore, you would increase your score based on the site visit. But again, you can only do that if you find objective evidence to do so. But that's quite common, that you'd find in reality the organisation is much better than you perceive them to be from when you read about them in written application. Also, the opportunity for a site visit is obviously to look at objective evidence, and that objective evidence comes from talking to people, but it also comes from looking at some of the documentation they use, process flow charts, some of the information that they've got on their computers, of how they, some of the data that they have. So in advance of the site visit, you need to identify what information you would like to look at and who you want to see, and then ideally be able to look at that information and clarify whether or not they deserve the assessment score that you've already given them, or whether it should be elevated or reduced based on that information that's available. So for the site visit, you want to make sure that time is utilised appropriately. The time you devote to a site visit disappears quite quickly. So dependent on the award programme you're in and the size of the organisation, is likely to have an impact on the number of days you're allowed to spend at a particular site visit. So I'm not sure for the NPS approach, whether you have 1 day or 2 day site visits or longer. It varies very much on the programme. Generally, if you're assessing a larger organisation and an organisation who is potentially a winner of an award, then normally you'd want to devote more time to those site visits, because it's very important then, especially if the potential award winner, you don't want to give an award to an organisation that does not warrant an award. So really you should be spending additional time on that site visit to make sure that everything that they have said in their written application is a true reflection of reality. Likewise, for large organisations which have multiple organisational sites, to check deployment, you just don't want to visit their headquarters, you would want to visit their other sites as well, just to validate that deployment is widespread and just not in one part of the organisation. So again, that will dictate the amount of time you spend on a site visit. But as I've said, the site visit is crucial really, because you are validating what's in the written application. And so you want to use that time in a fruitful way, a value-adding way. So you need to prepare for a site visit. So you need to think about what do you want to find out, who do you need to speak to, how long should the site visit be, etc. So you need to develop a clear agenda for the site visit about what you want to find out, who you want to talk to, and we'll discuss that shortly. You want to plan out the site visit logistics in terms of even travelling there, the time of the meeting, when do you conclude, etc. And if you're visiting multiple sites, how are you going to manage that amongst your team members? In advance, you would also want to forewarn the applicant about the documents you would like to review, because otherwise you could be wasting a lot of time at the site visit where they're trying to find those documents for you. It's much better to forewarn them about what you want to find out from them so that they can prepare in advance so there's no time wasted. Obviously, after preparing for the site visit and informing them of the agenda, you'll then conduct the site visit and report the findings back into the feedback report. So we're going to go through each of these stages in a little bit more detail. So preparing for the site visit, as I've already discussed, the time that's spent for the site visit will be dependent on the applicant's size, but also whether or not it's likely to be an award winner. You might also, dependent on the award scheme, you might have more team members in your team if you are visiting a larger organisation, because obviously you've got to cover that organisation by your team members across the various processes, categories, and across the various sites. So for a large organisation, you generally need a larger team. You may need to visit one or more locations of the applicant, and certainly for the Baldridge programme, for large organisations where you've got to travel across different cities, or even, right across the whole country, then it might, and even fly from one place to another, then a site visit could be up to a week in duration. Generally, site visits are not longer than that. So you will have, as you know, your team leader, your team members. You need to coordinate with the award administrator on when that site visit will be and the point of contact with the applicant. Normally, all that process goes through the award administrator. So if you've got specific requests from the applicant in terms of the documents to be reviewed, normally you send that information to the award administrator, who will then make contact with the applicant. A good practice as well would be, and this is dependent on the award administrator, but a good practice for award administrators is for those organisations which are potential award winners or are very important to the award administrator, then as well as sending the assessment team to that organisation, it's a good idea to send an observer to that organisation as well. The responsibility of the observer is just to observe the process of assessment, just making sure the assessment is undertaken in an ethical and professional manner. So an observer is a very good risk management process to use, just to make sure that the assessment process is done in a professional way, and there's going to be no causes of concern from the applicant organisation or indeed from the assessment team. Occasionally, there are problems where the organisation being assessed does not like the way an assessor is asking questions. Or does not like the demeanour of the assessors. So this is why to manage those sensitive situations, it is good to have an observer, just to make sure everything is done in the best way possible. Obviously, with proper training of assessors and with an experienced team leader, then ideally the whole process should go extremely smoothly. But occasionally problems do happen. I've seen assessors before undertake assessments more like an audit and even virtually criticise the applicant organisation for hiding information or not sharing information. You don't want to go down that line at all. Sometimes you do think as an assessor that some information is being hidden from you, or something that the assessor is saying is not, something the organisation is saying is not truthful, but you don't question them. That's just a private bit of information you've collected, and you might feed back to your assessment team. But you don't ever question the applicants directly in terms of the truthfulness of the information that they're sharing, or their professionalism as the applicant organisation. You just got to be as professional as you can yourselves. So you need to do planning in advance, as we've said, develop questions in advance. You don't just turn up and think you're going to ask the relevant questions spontaneously. Every question should be planned with foresight, because this is, you want to make sure you utilise your time appropriately. You need to frame questions that will investigate how processes are implemented. Generally, open questions are very good, so don't ask leading questions. Just ask, how do you do this? And then they will explain. And then, if you want more detail, then again, just say, can you explain in a bit more detail, etc. So try and keep the questions as open as possible. And in that way, it will also mean that applicants are more relaxed and are more likely to share more information with you. So you don't want closed questions or overly difficult questions, because they might close up in terms of the sharing. You've got to be seen as a friend, as I think Dr. Atif was saying on the first day. So you've got to be their friend and just have a personality where you feel genuinely interested in the information that they're sharing. And for them as well, it's by you asking questions, by you showing that you're very inquisitive and showing that you're interested, this is more likely to get them to share more. So it's very important, your own demeanour. You want them to open up. And often, if you've done a good assessment, then the applicant, people that you've spoken to, they should be really happy, because it might be for the first time anybody's asked them in detail about their job, their roles and responsibilities, and they see that as a little bit of recognition when you're showing interest in their work. So you've got to represent a professional approach, but also appear very interested and supportive of the people you are talking to. So you've got to plan the site visit, make sure you have very focused questions, and a good approach is that you might write down your questions that you want to ask them, but then always say to yourself, what is the rationale for this question? Why am I asking this question? Because if you can't describe to yourself what is the rationale and what's the purpose of the question, then perhaps that question should not be asked. So make sure the questions are really relevant, and that dependent on the answers to that question, it potentially could alter the score that you're going to give them. If it's not going to alter the score in any way, then perhaps that question is not relevant. Also, because you'll be going as a team, I think in your case, your team is a team of 3 people. I'm not sure the advice given to you from the National Productivity Secretariat, but the general advice for Baldridge is you should never ask questions to somebody in the applicant organisation just on your own. You should always be two people, two assessors together as a minimum when you're asking questions to an applicant, because that's, again, managing any risks. It's making sure that you are acting ethically, and they can't come back and say, oh, there's a problem with an assessor, and and the only person to defend that assessor is the person who is being criticised. So you always need two people in the room just to manage any potential risks, but also if there's two people asking questions, then you can have one asking the questions and the other person recording the responses. So it just helps in terms of that whole relationship building with the applicant and making sure all the responses from the applicant are recorded and noted down, because it's easy to forget what has been said after having an interview. So you want to make notes all the time. The other thing, if you are making notes in an interview, then it shows you're interested. If you're not making any notes, they might think you're not interested in their responses. So always make notes, always make eye contact. Again, it demonstrates interest in what they're saying. So, plan in advance who will ask which questions, at what different levels you will ask questions. I've already discussed that in terms of assessing horizontal and vertical deployment. Because you're a team of three, as I've said, I think all of you will have to go together, because you can't have two people together than one person going on their own. I think that's potentially going to create a problem. So because your teams of three, all three of you will need to go together, I believe, and interview whoever you need to interview. For larger teams, you could split up, because obviously you might have two people focusing on the leadership category, two people focusing on the customer focus category. But in your case, for the NPS, I think your three people need to be together, and you'll be asking questions on each category. But perhaps, because you've got three people, you'll be saying that each person is responsible for maybe two criteria each. Therefore, they're the lead questioner for those two criteria, so that they will be asking the question for that criteria, and the other two people are just support people or note takers. So you divide the responsibilities amongst yourselves. Develop and use worksheets or documents to track key issues, observations, and validate needs. So yes, it's just showing you need a methodology to collect the information and analyse it as you proceed through the site visit. We've already discussed you need to send out a document request in advance. Again, be reasonable in what documents you ask for. Don't ask for documents that you're not going to read, because why are you asking for them? So you need to think carefully about what exactly you want to see, and make sure if you ask for that information, you do read it. Otherwise, why have you asked for it? But more and more, you're often reviewing documents online, and there's no problem about doing that. But again, you've got to ask for that in advance so they know what you'd like to look at, so that it's available for you when you visit the organisation. The other thing is you do work as a team. As I've said, you share responsibilities, but make sure that after each meeting that you have, you allow time in the programme to have a discussion with your team members about what you heard, what you learned. So again, you're always trying to reach consensus. Otherwise, if you're not having those opportunities for discussing what's being learnt, then you might be coming out with totally different ideas from the site visit, which is going to lead to problems when you write up the feedback report and try to get consensus on the scores. Also, it's quite a fluid, changeable. Usually what you want is a fluid and changeable approach to the site visit agenda. So you set a particular agenda, but you should allow that agenda to change if necessary based on what you find out. So maybe you might find something out by visiting the HR manager which sparks your interest that you need to now visit somebody in the marketing area who's had perhaps a HR problem in the past. So your plans can change, but always if you want to change your plans, then you should be notifying the contact point, the contact person inside the applicant organisation that you'd like to now change the programme slightly and visit these other key areas of the business. Again, ensure all team members have an opportunity to contribute and ask questions, meet at the end of the day to share notes and plan the next day. And again, this is emphasising what I just said. Are there any new priorities to focus on? Or the opposite could be the case of that. Now from these meetings, you've got more information than you expected. And so now some meetings that you had planned are now redundant. So there's no point having meetings if you've already obtained the specific information you were looking for. So let's think about the site visit as being over 2 days. So for the first day, when you have the site visit, you would meet the key point of contact within that organisation. Normally they would meet you at the reception when you arrive. And normally that meeting would be just for 5 or 10 minutes, just introducing your team members and just clarifying whether the agenda is still appropriate and that all the meetings have been set up, because there could be some last minute changes that the contact point wishes to inform you of. So always have a meeting first of all with a key point of contact within that organisation. Normally after that very brief meeting with that key point of contact, you would then go into a meeting with the senior leaders of that organisation. Again, I'm not sure how it works for the NPS, but normally there would be, in most site visits that I've been involved in, there would be the first meeting with the leadership team. And normally, as part of that, you'd allow the leadership team, if they wish to, and which happens in the majority of cases, that they can give you a presentation. So often they would want to give you a presentation, an overview of the organisation, which would probably last for about 20-30 minutes. You don't want a longer presentation from that. So they might give you a formal presentation, which I think is very useful to do because it reminds you about the applicant, and it'll probably give you a different perspective when they're giving you a slideshow as what you've read on the written application. But then it also gives you an opportunity to ask some questions as a result of the sharing that they've just given. So then you would normally have, that whole session could be an hour, a maximum of 2 hours. And then following on from that, you would then meet specific individuals from the leadership team or other senior managers or other middle managers, and work across as well the various categories of excellence to ensure that there's validity with respect to the written application and what you're finding out on a site visit. It might be that anyway, when you're going to visit the people who are responsible for the various categories, that you automatically do a facility tour because you're walking from one place to another. Or if you're going to visit somebody responsible for manufacturing, you go down to the plant and you might then be able to experience what is actually happening on the plant. But I would generally try to ask if you can do a facility tour, but not spend too much time on that, because it can take too long. So a facility tour where you're just walking around the offices, or you're just walking around the manufacturing site, or you're just walking around the school, just helps to give you an initial impression of that organisation and the culture of that organisation. So it's useful to do, but you don't want to spend too much time. You might be thinking, wow, this is a really impressive organisation. They know what they're doing. They really know how to manufacture a particular product or service, and they're using all the latest technology. But then if you go to the shop floor and you just see lots of rubbish on the floor, things not particularly organised very well, there's no charts displayed to the process owners of how they operate those processes. There can be a totally disconnect between what's written and what you see. So you should try to pick up on that. And likewise, sometimes you get the opposite. Sometimes you think this organisation is very disorganised from the written application, but when you go to that organisation, there's a wow factor about that organisation in terms of the neatness of the organisation, how it's organised, the amount of information they're sharing on the wall charts, and you can see the happy faces of the workers. So sometimes, there's a disconnect the other way around too. So certainly for a site visit, you need to plan interviews, get the documents, and always be referring back to your feedback report, making sure you've covered all areas, and even making changes directly to the feedback report if you pick up new information. So for day 2, it's pretty much the same, but day 2, you generally probe into a little bit more detail. So day 1 is more about talking to the senior leaders and often the category leaders. And day 2 is now going into making sure that all the processes and approaches that they're describing to you are fully deployed. So it's then looking more vertically down the organisation, making sure that what the leaders say is happening in true reality, and it's also happening right across the whole organisation, which might require visiting some other sites of the organisation. So always you do want to speak to the operational people, some people from the shop floor. You may think in advance how many people you want to sample. You might say you want to speak to 10 people on the shop floor. So again, you should be stating that with the contact person, and you should be saying that you'd like to choose who those people will be. So they can produce a list to you of all the people that they have in all their positions, and you choose which one of those you wish to speak to. But again, if you wish to do that, you should be specifying to them in advance that you would like a list in advance of all their employees, so that when you go there, you can choose which ones you want to speak to. So if you don't ask for that in advance, they might not have it prepared, and then it's just complicating the process. And again, you need to explain why you're doing this, and explain in a very friendly way. So you've got to keep them happy. And always with a smile on your face, and never appear pushy. Never say, I've got to see this, you've got to show me this. Never have that attitude. If they don't want to show you something, that's fine. You just take that on board mentally, and that will be reflected really in your feedback report. So don't push things too far. You're not an auditor. That's not the way we do things with a business excellence assessment. So always be highly respectable. Again, you've got to think about the demographics of the employees. So if it's an international organisation, maybe you want to speak to people of different nationalities, or from different age groups, or from different sexes. Because do they respect men and women the same inside their organisation? So you want viewpoints, all viewpoints across all parts of the organisation. And finally, you'll close the meeting, you'll thank normally the senior leaders or the CEO and say, thank you so much. We were really delighted in terms of how we were received at your organisation. We were delighted at how open your organisation is to sharing. But you don't provide them with any information with respect to how you are going to evaluate them. You're just sharing with them that you really appreciate the time and effort that they've devoted to you and given to you to allow you to meet their people and understand their business. So, I don't know how much time. Yeah. So, the three key groups to interview are your senior leaders, your managers and supervisors, and the frontline staff. I think I've covered that. Again, this slide is emphasising why you are doing that. You've got to bear in mind that the senior leaders normally do have full knowledge of the application to the NPS application in this case. Managers and supervisors are less knowledgeable about the written application that they put forward, and the frontline staff less so. But you're primarily just trying to find out whether these processes that I have in place have been fully deployed. Again, you've got to plan in advance how you conduct the interviews, not only which questions, but how you introduce yourself, by saying we will respect confidentiality of information, we'll be looking for both strengths and opportunities. It's just saying this is a friendly, a friendly conversation, just to assess your organisation with respect to the NPC, the National Productivity Secretariat Award. And always thank their time and be very appreciative. So generally use, as I said already, very open-ended questions. Avoid leading questions at all. Don't ask leading questions. You're not a consultant as well. Don't give them advice. Never give advice. You're just trying to find out things from them. You're not telling them things about yourself. You don't tell them who you work for. You don't tell them about your own experience. That's not the purpose of this. So again, now we've got examples of open-ended questions and examples of leading questions which you should not be asking. Okay, actually in here there's some examples of senior leader questions, and then examples of sample manager supervisor questions, and examples of frontline staff questions. So you can have a look at those later on. Again, you would frame the questions slightly different for frontline staff people with respect to the senior managers. So always think about the person you're asking questions to, making sure that they'll understand the question. So don't ask highly technical questions about the NPS process, the National Productivity Secretary Award process, to frontline staff, because they're unlikely to have an understanding of it. So just keep the questions quite open. So if you're trying to find out, for instance, from a frontline staff, about whether the organisation has got, whether the vision of the organisation is communicated to frontline staff, then you just ask, do you know if the company has an organisational vision, or has it been, or what is, do you know if what is it, and what is it? Has that been communicated? What is the purpose? And they might not understand still the question, what do you mean by a vision? So you say, do you know what is the purpose of the organisation? And then they might say some key words which are reflected in the organisation's vision, so you know that there is some understanding there. They can't necessarily say exactly what the vision is, but when you ask the question in different format, you can see some key words that are in the vision, so it obviously is being communicated and understood. Some organisations, the frontline staff can paraphrase the vision of the organisation. Again, that's good, that's great, but you've still got to find out whether in reality they live and breathe that vision, whether it's actually followed through in terms of the work that they're doing. If you're an applicant organisation you've got to bear in mind the applicant organisations, if they're smart, they should be training their staff beforehand, before the visit, to understand the vision and mission and to understand certain things, because I know as assessors you'll be asking specific questions. So you've got to get behind that really to make sure that what they're doing in reality on a daily basis is actually happening. So the code of ethics is critically important for assessors. And so if you've got free attending at one time, say always stick together. Please, the team leaders, give guidance to the more junior staff. Help them along the way. So you've got to abide by an ethical code of conduct. You should not disclose your identities or affiliations. You should not remove applicant material unless there's a document control process. Occasionally, you could ask if you can take information away with you, but that would need to be agreed in advance with the award administrator. And it might just be you just need more time to look at that document overnight. In rare cases, that could be granted, but then that's got to be agreed by the award administrator and also the applicant organisation. Do not write an applicant's materials. Do not accept gifts or favours from the applicant, and do not talk to your family or colleagues outside work about your experience in assessing a particular applicant. So for good practice, be professional, be cordial, do not provide feedback or opinion, be aware of body language. Even if what the applicant is saying to you is quite boring, then I say, please smile and reflect some interest in what they're saying. Make sure you stay on schedule, respect the time that they're giving you. Don't hesitate to say, I've got what I need. Some people love talking. Some people have never been asked these questions before, and they want you to stay with them. But your time is limited, so you need to be polite and saying, sorry, you know, you've done a fantastic job. We've got the information that we came for. We'd now like to proceed to the next interview. So you've got to think of how you're going to manage that particular situation. So interview in at least pairs. One asks questions, one takes notes. Make sure that you work together, in that you don't want one person taking control of the questions from your team again and again and again. That might upset your other team members. So even though in your team you've probably got one person with a lot more experience than the other two team members, please do allow your other team members to develop and ask questions, because ultimately, for the good of Sri Lanka, you want everybody to reach the level of being able to lead a team in the future. Also, this is a key one as well, I'd forgotten about this, that a lot of organisations work in shifts. And there's often a big difference between a day shift and a night shift. So you have to see both shifts. If they're operating two shifts, you have to see both shifts. There could be huge differences. Take for a note. Okay, what else do we have here? We talked about key themes yesterday. So by now you should be forming some strong ideas on what are the main strengths of an organisation and what are the main opportunities for improvement. And these main strengths and main opportunities for improvement are called the key themes, because you're going to feed these key themes back in the executive summary when you give the feedback report. Because as Dr. Atif said, it'll be the senior leadership team and the CEO, they're going to focus immediately on your feedback report and specifically on the executive summary. So in that executive summary, it's got to show what the main strengths are and the main opportunities for improvement. So as an assessment team, you should always have that in mind of what are the key strengths, what are the opportunities for improvement, and validating them through the site visits. Remember, you aren't just checking the application for accuracy, you're also assessing the applicant organisation against the criteria. Ensure collaborative environment, avoid adversarial questioning, Focus on site visit issues, be polite again, but don't be overly friendly. Speaking the language of the applicant, not Baldridgeese, or not NPSEs. Frame questions to avoid a yes or no response. And the site visit is not an audit and you are not a consultant. Okay, and then you've got to be thinking, we're getting this great information back and you've got to report the findings. So always be looking back at your feedback report as you have it now, and does it need to be changed slightly? Does it need to be enhanced? Do you have additional comments to add? So continually be revising that feedback, keep revising the key themes, identify any items where you think scores will need to be reassessed and why they should be reassessed, and continually be talking to your team members and making sure you've got good notes all the way through. Okay, I think we've discussed this. This is just showing the process where you've had a consensus report and then you're continually revising that information. In this case for Baldridge, they use, prior to the site visit, you'll have identified the key questions that you wish to ask, which are really, in this case, called the key issues. And then you collect that information with respect to each category and then feed that information back into the feedback report. Okay, so what time are we now? I don't know. I don't know how well we're doing. Okay. So this is the last exercise that we're asking you to do. This exercise should be a lot easier than the last two exercises that you have done. So we wish you to follow these 3 steps. As a team, we want you to review your work on the City of Fort Collins, including the work that you did on the organisational profile, key factors, and the strengths and opportunities that you've identified in Category 3 and in Item 7.2. I want you to discuss what information you would need to finalise your assessments. Therefore, what additional information do you need to collaborate your strengths and opportunities for improvement? And identify which individuals or groups you would like to meet during a site visit, when you're trying to probe into a bit more detail with respect to customer focus and the results. Then I want you to develop a focused set of questions for each interview. So you need to decide how many people you want to interview and what questions you would wish to ask them. And also think about what I discussed as well. When you think about questions, do you need to ask questions horizontally and vertically to different layers of people? And then, so I want you to think of the questions you want to ask, who you want to interview. And then finally, for step 3, once you've done all that, I want you to share as a group any tips you have from your own experience of what contributes to a successful site visit, and consider aspects such as team coordination, professionalism, effective interviewing, and time management. So we think this exercise will take about 45 minutes, including a break. Have we got a copy of the agenda? Where's the agenda? You took it away. It's there. No, not for this. Okay, so this whole activity is going to be combined with the afternoon break, which is already here. So I don't know how that happened. So we have the afternoon break as well, but we'd want you back to share by 4 o'clock if possible, and that might mean we even finish about 5 or 10 minutes early today. So combine this activity with the break, because I think you can do this as part of the break. And then we'll have the presentations at 4 o'clock. If we can't meet the 4 o'clock schedule, we'll stick with the agenda which stated we'd have the presentations at 4:15, but we'll try for 4 o'clock. So for this exercise, please complete this form, which is saying which criteria you're investigating, questions you'd like to ask, and documents you'd like to see, and who would you like to see, also the rationale for questions and the information request, and finally you'd answer this question: what are your tips for a successful site visit? Does everybody understand? So we want to complete this exercise. Try to complete it by 4 o'clock. If we don't, we'll complete it by 4:15. But we can bring in your coffee and tea as well. The sooner we finish, the earlier we can finish this afternoon. Thank you.
Yes, very good evening to you all, our resource people and all other members of the audience. Then as the group 12, so actually when we go to the audience presentation since yesterday, we have had a lot of male voices, so that's why I'm going to invite for a female voice of our team. She is Malki, and she will continuing the presentation.
Okay, good evening all. As a team, we discussed and prepared this document on exercise 5. When we visit the organization, we can ask the action to clear the details. So, on criteria item 1.1, senior leadership, we can ask the question as how do leaders test if their communications are effective across all workforce levels, and we can ask this question from city manager and ELT. And also on criteria item 1.2, governance and societal responsibilities, we can ask the question as the documentation of supplier ethics monitoring. We can ask this question from procurement manager and also ethics officer. And criteria item 3.2, customer engagement, it is very valuable point. So we can ask the question as result on how engagement activities build trust and inclusivity from customer service manager and also community partners. And next slide, strategy development on criteria 2.1. The action examples of how disruptive trends from strategic planning team and also ELT. And 2.2 strategy implementation. The action evidence of mid-cycle adjustment to strategies during crisis. We can ask this action from service area directors and also project managers. Next one is voice of customer. This is also a very good point. In this situation, we can ask the questions as how do you gather input from underserved, disengaged groups. The questions from customer outreach team and also public engagement officer. 3.2 criteria item, customer engagement. The actions we can ask result on how engagement activities build trust and inclusivity. The actions from customer service manager and community partners. And we can ask so many actions to clear our criteria. Next one is from criteria item 4.1, measurement, analysis and improvement. We think to ask the questions as criteria used to prioritize which performance gaps to act upon, performance excellence team and analytes. And also knowledge management, it is also a very good point. We can ask the question as knowledge transfer plans for retraining staff from HR director and also department heads. Criteria item 5.1, workforce environment. The extent evidence of DEI program impact beyond demographics. The questions asked from HR manager and DEI committee. And also workforce engagement, we can ask the questions as documentation showing from employee feedback leads to actions. The questions asked from supervisors HR Employee Council. And also we are visit the place. There are so many tips, successful site visit. We decided to decided about this information. First one is team coordination. This is a clear roles of leader, timekeeper, stripe, and also presenter. And the second one is professionalism and effective interview, time management, and observation. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Very, very detailed here. Big round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. What was actually impressive about this group, they were only asked to look at categories 3.1, 3.2 and 7.2, but they covered everything. Didn't they do amazing? And the points actually they made on 3.2 were actually very pertinent. So, the point in 3.1 I liked. So they were looking at how do you gather input from underserved, disengaged groups. So those people who are difficult to reach, or perhaps who those were representing those people who were dissatisfied. So I think that sort of question was very, very useful indeed for 3.1. And I like the idea how they identified some specific people to talk to as well. Remember, you've got the organisational profile section, and there's a description of some of the job roles inside the municipality. So you can use the organisational profile and the organisation descriptions of the organisational structure to decide which departments and people you most want to speak to and interview. So thank you so much indeed. So Dr. Atif, it's number 6 yet, is it next? Is it? Okay. Group number 6 will present next. That's if we have their presentation. Did you send?
7, sorry.
Group number 7. This is yours, yes? Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, this is our team. Our team name is Greenleaf, and I'm Chamila, team leader, Sugat, presenter, and Shamali is a timekeeper. She's a good timekeeper, and Indivari, Lakshman, and Priyadarshini. Okay, let's move on to our presentation. This is exercise 5, site visit preparations, questions to ask. We are only focused on 7.2. Criteria number 7.22, customer focused results, quality of life. The question we are asked, can provide the detailed survey methodology, responses rates, and demographic breakdowns to response. Any trends analysis reports for the past 3 or 5 years. Then city planning department or R&D division, we can meet somebody for ask these questions. Then 7.24, availability of job opportunities. Then we can ask, can see documents on local economic initiatives, business support programs, and employment growth strategies. Then we can meet economic department officer or HR department head to ask these questions. Then 7.25, culture and recreations. Then we can ask, provide reports on parks or recreations programs, cultural events, and budget allocations and participation statistics, like that. Then we can ask from HR department head or cultural affairs team. Then we can identify to verify the availability and quality of culture and reactions, opportunities, and their impact or quality of life. Then 7.23, criteria number 7.23, place to work. We can ask any have local business climate reports or labor market studies. Then we can meet the local business HR representatives or economic department officers to cross-check community perceptions with actual workplace conditions and businesses support initiatives. Then community priorities and feedbacks. We can ask the records of citizen feedbacks and follow-up actions taken, what are the taken activities, and priority settings documentations. Then we can meet R&D division, especially, and the market department. Then 7.2, comparative all the data, then national and regional benchmarking reports. We can ask these questions, we ask the your benchmarking reports. Then especially we meet R&D division for that questions. Then we want to rationalize to understand how Collins perform relative to national and regional standards and trends. And then another part is
Thank you very much for giving me a chance. Now I am going to explain how to be a good assessor. That's why we have to follow these ethics to go to the evaluation at the for the site visit. Where you these tips it will be most important to us to be a good assessor. First one is team collaboration, coordination. Clearly define roles and responsibilities before the visit, and ensure all teams members understand the objectives and schedule. Maintain good communication during the visit to avoid overlap or confusion. Second one is professionalism. It is more important to dress code. Formal dress code is most important to when we are going to the assessment. And respect the site rules, safety guidelines, and protocols. Other one is effective interview. Prepare question in advance, prioritize key performance, and listen actively and allow interviews to explain without interruptions. And other one, time management. Plan a realistic schedule, allowing extra time for unexpected delays. Stick to the agenda while being flexible for critical observations. Summarize findings promptly to ensure nothing is missed before leaving the site. And preparation and documentation. Carry all necessary tools, documents, and forms for the visit. Safe and awareness. Follow all safety procedures and wear protective gear if required. These are the ethics, and these we have to do these things when we go to the site assessment. Thank you very much. Give me a chance. Most of time we tried to come here, but we couldn't get the chance. But last, finally we could the chance. That is why thank you very much, our resource person and all of you, for giving us chance to deliver this presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, and congratulations. An excellent presentation. I liked the rationale for each question. I liked how you developed questions for benchmarking as well, for evidence of the benchmarking information they had. And I liked some of your tips, especially respecting the interviewee, allowing them to speak interrupted. So very well done indeed. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we'll have one more team to present. We'll have the loudest team who really desperately wants to present last. So which team really wants to present? Come on, there must be one team that wishes to really present. Give the last presentation. No? Oh yes, Atif, which one?
11. Team 11.
Yeah. Okay. Ah, here. Okay.
Good evening, team. So as a team, we have discussed several things, especially based on the experiences of our NPS members as well as the other professionals. So first of all, we have selected some criteria. The first thing is strategic alignment. So first we are going to ask that whether they have a 5-year plan in their organization. So we would like to ask it from the management, just to getting to know whether they have a strategic alignment. And then we are going to ask about the operational alignment. So the question will be, what are the methods that we are using to solve problems in your organization? So what we need to get from them is the systematic approach of problem solving. So we are going to ask it from the employees as well as from the management, employees, bottom line employees, and as well as from the management. And then we are going to ask about their organizational profile. So we would like to ask them the documents related to the regulatory requirement, EPA, renewal of the license, and also about the regulatory standards mentioned in the application. So we are going to ask it from the mayor and the city manager. So it is because to verify the availability and validate the document. And then we are going to ask from the customers whether they are happy about the services given by the call-ins. Our purpose is to get to know the customer satisfaction level, because they have mentioned that they have a very good customer feedbacks. So we are going to ask it from the customers as well. And then we are going to ask from the suppliers whether how do they perceive call-ins as a not as the customer, as a supplier. Yes, as a customer. So our purpose is to get to know the supplier integration, whether they have a very good supplier integration with the suppliers. And we are going to ask about some documents relating to citizen surveys and utility surveys in order to understand the different customers. Also, we are going to ask about their customer segmentation to list of different customer groups with segmentation variables. Our purpose was to get an understanding about different customers. So Mr. Poshita will present about the tips when we are doing the assessment.
There are some tips which we need to be prepared. The first thing, pre-preparation is essential, right? We have to have the right agenda and the questions, time schedules, these things. If we prepared, we can do much and in a nicer way. right? And then categorize the questions according to the desktop feedback. First, we get the feedback, all the details, and be prepared. So we categorize the question from whom and everything, right? When we visit the plant, as appoint a team leader and the team members and develop the team cohesiveness. Actually, the team should have a better understanding among the team. So therefore, we need to build up that. And strictly, we need to follow the code of ethics when we visit the plants, and always assess facts and evidence. Sometimes we need to get all the facts and the details. We have to clearly observe the situations, everything. And especially, we need to be a good listener. When you visit, you need to listen and you need to be a good observer. Those are some tips to do when you are visiting to factories. So.
Okay, thank you so much. I have a question on your previous slide. Can you show your previous slide? So when you say you'd like to see the suppliers and customers, do you really mean that you'd like to meet their customers and residents? And do you think that in reality you have the time to do that?
Yeah, of course, we now in City of Collins, now their main customers are the citizens who's around. So we just wanted to visit some customers and get their feedback. That's
but I think in reality you would not have the time to do that, because you're only a team of 3. You can't visit a large sample of their residents. I mean, what you'd be assessing is really whether they are collecting customers and residents' feedback and whether they're using that information appropriately. And similarly with suppliers as well. You wouldn't visit their suppliers. You would just make sure whether they've got a process for that and have that information.
Of course.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
But very well done indeed. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Atif, you're going to finish the session. Okay, it's okay. Don't worry.
Thank you. Well done.
Just make sure the slides.
Okay, now we are at the end of business excellence training. So last 2 sessions, and I think you are almost done. Must be tired. Not yet. We do something else. Another exercise? No.
Yeah, if you're not tired, we can stay till midnight if you prefer. No? Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So now we have done our individual review. You had your consensus meeting. You had your site visit. Now you are going to do another consensus meeting so that you can consolidate your response. Okay? So let me start from here. So now, now you have information because you already been there, you saw what is happening actually. Now you are actually validating and finalizing the assessment process. So you actually consolidate finding after validation through site visit. So whatever queries, questions you had during your consensus meeting, you went there, you asked relevant questions, you got the documents, you reviewed them. Now you have full validation of information that you already have. Now you are finalizing the score, because remember in your independent review you did your independent scoring, then you in consensus meeting site visit you had your scoring as a group. Now you are actually validating that score, that a score was right or wrong, or right or need some adjustment. Ensure feedback report reflect the evidence-based consensus. So you know that what you collected. You report that evidence-based facts that you collected. Reconcile pre and post site visit insights. So what is so different? You just inform that what has happened. You remember Dr. Robin mentioned feedback report actually from city of Fort Collins. You saw that examiners actually mentioned that the initial score was 60, but after their visit, they actually revised their score to 72 or 80%. So now that is there. So what you're going to do, you will put that you are going to you revise that score and why, and you report that thing. Discuss and resolve any inconsistencies. Definitely when you have site visit, you have new finding, you sit together and then remove all inconsistencies if you have any. Confirm that all revised comments met the award quality and tone standards. You remember that we discussed what language you should be using, what tone you should be using, so you just align yourself with that. And review the ADLI, let's see, rationale and show alignment across the team. So this is basically post-consensus, post-site visit processes just to reconfirm or revalidating as a team together and finalizing the process. Some tips for successful post-site visit. Review all site visit notes and evidence before the meeting, so that definitely you have everything before you go there, you have everything ready. Ensure clarity on the updated strength and office based on first-hand observation, interviews, and document reviews. Only revise scoring and feedback where clear site-validated evidence justifies a change. So now you have a lot of information. So whatever you're doing, ensure that you are only doing whatever adjustment you're making in your initial scores is based on something, based on evidence that you collected during your site visits. Ensure any new or modified comments are aligned with observed facts. So for example, you went there, you saw that they are doing something good, or you saw something which requires some opportunities for improvement. So suggest that and provide with evidence. Listen to team members. Again, you're sitting in team. So people have different observation. They come and talk, provide you different opinion. So definitely respectfully listening each other is very important. Seek a balance, consensus, of course, not average score, but alignment on rational and maturity levels. Again, avoid referencing applicant name outside approved material. So you don't say Mr. X said that. So whatever you collected as a team, just report that. Do not disclose any scoring or finding beyond the review team or approved channel. This is very important when you're doing that. You have internal discussion on something. So that information is only for you to provide right feedback to the applicant, not for applicant, that raw information that you're working on. So make sure that you're keeping that only limited to your team only, not for applicant. Applicant should only see the feedback report, not the comment that you're making. So with that, now you see the entire process. You started with individual review, applied, let's see, ADLI, you did your scoring, you had your consensus meeting. With that, you went to the site visits, you had site visit, now you know better that organization. You had another site consensus meeting where you actually consolidated all your findings after your site visits. Now the final stage is refinement to the feedback report. Now you're writing that feedback report to the organization that will go to the organization. So again, review and refine the feedback report. You remember that you had feedback report earlier, now you're revising it. Review all sections of the report, especially focus on executive summary and the key themes. Again, this is very important. We emphasize it in our session yesterday and today as well, that why is important. So that the leadership team who actually will drive the improvement agenda based on your feedback, highly read the executive summary, and executive summary should be very clear what strength and opportunities for improvement you are identifying from them. And from leadership perspective, they are more interested in what the consistent theme is coming in terms of improvement, opportunities for improvement. So, and they want to pick those things and use that in their strategic planning and action planning process so they can improve accordingly. As a final check, ensure your feedback report follows the 4 principles. This is again very important. And again, the objective is to provide you some structured approach towards assessment process. So here we are suggesting 4 principles that will help you to write an effective feedback report. Balance and evidence base. So whatever you're saying, strength or opportunities or strength or fees, ensure that everything you're providing at the balance. So if you are, I think Dr. Robin mentioned in one of his sessions, that if you are giving high score, so you will have more strength in that feedback that you will provide. If you're providing low score, for example, then you will provide more opportunities for improvement. Why is important? Because if you're going low score, for example, and providing a lot of strength, so the reader will find that we are doing so good, but then why we didn't get the right score? So this is very important that you provide that balance. Ensure comments are grounded in application evidence, not personal opinion. Of course, now you understand that why personal opinion comes from the lead to subjectivity in the feedback reports, and we always ask assessors to bring evidence-based finding. And when you're writing any comment, feedback report should be supported by evidence that you collected from your observation, from your interviews, from your site visits. It's very important. Clear and actionable. I think this is the important part is action. Is feedback. The entire process is not for your trip to that organization or the time that you is spending on the application review. Is for them as an organization to get something and do action, and action lead to improvement. And for you as a learning experience that you are maybe exploring new segment or sector or process, that is going to help you in your personal development. So write in plain professional language that applicant can understand, because you are actually helping them to improve their performance. Avoid jargon, acronym, or scoring reference. They are not very interested in criteria, to be honest. They want to know what feedback you are writing and how this feedback will help them to improve their performance. So write in a way that they take your comments and start action planning process or improvement initiative out of it. Alignment and align and relevant, link strength and opportunity for improvement to key factors. As again, I think yesterday we emphasized, and today as well, that organization profile is something that will tell you what is happening, what is there in their strategy, customer, workforce. So the strength and opportunity for improvement that you're providing should be aligned and relevant. Highlight the vital few gaps. Again, is coming from your reading, from your observation, that you think that that will actually help them to not to move to the next level of scoring band. I think we discussed in a previous session, the objective of opportunity of improvement is, like, you are actually telling them that if you resolve this thing, or if you improve in that specific area, your score will improve. So this is something that is stopping you to improve your performance or move to the next level of scoring grid. So this is very important that you highlight those vital fews. Respecting and developmental. Of course, phrase opportunities for improvement constructively. Don't say that, you failed. Instead, you say that consider strengthening your X process or Y process or whatever. Remember, the goal is to guide improvement. You're not there to failing them, passing them, or criticizing them. We are not judging them. We are critical friends. So objective is to help them to improve their performance. So this is important that your feedback report reflect that language. So with this, congratulations. Finally, we come to conclusion of this 2 days training program on business excellence assessment. I hope you enjoyed the process. I hope you enjoyed the training so far. We have 5 minutes, so I would suggest if someone can, any group, any team leader want to say something, so that we can, any positive, you can give us strength or opportunity for improvement now, okay? So anything, any comment from your side? Raise your hand if you want to say anything. At least say goodbye. Also, you can't say us goodbye because we'll see you tomorrow. Any comment? Yes, very good. We always need some initiators, and then people will come. These are the brave hearts. Yes?
So actually, it's not a question, just to say thank you. I mean, it's really, vast knowledge. I think it's a huge knowledge that you have passed within these 2 days. I know, it's basically huge, that lot of knowledge you have given. So I think it's very essential when we do some critical things, especially in Sri Lankan context, when we apply these things. So your insights are very valuable. So thank you very much once again, gentlemen and lady. So it's really wonderful and it was really useful for all of us. So on behalf of my colleagues, I have to say thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Any other comment? If last 2 seconds. Any other comment? Any other comment? 1, 2. Okay, so now I think thank you very much for being that interactive. I think what we try to give you some tools and techniques to implement in your national productivity plan that you're going to take forward. So Robin, if you want to say something
So
else, please.
tomorrow, please come along fresh. It's a completely new subject. It's related to business excellence, obviously, but the training will be different. It's on benchmarking. It's providing you with expertise, how to do benchmarking yourself so you can identify best practices and help organisations to improve. So we look forward to seeing you tomorrow with new energy, and we'll develop new energy too. So good luck. See you early tomorrow morning. Thank you. Thank you.